Hey everyone, welcome to Spirit Search Guru. Today we have an amazing story. We have our guest on air her name is Charlene, and she's going to go into some really fascinating accounts of personal story that happened in her life. Not just one, not just two, but three people who are so important to her, who she's lost and who still embrace her. And they talk to her beyond the grave, and it's not even like they're gone. So what I'm going to do is hand the mic over to Charlene. Are you there, Charlene?
I sure am.
Hi, love.
Hi, dear.
Hi. So what I'm going to do is you just take us right through wherever you want to start, and you just let the audience know. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Well, my story began on June 14th, 1982. My husband, Norman Barker Sr., passed away at an explosion at an asphalt plant in Toronto on Shepherd Avenue East called McAsphalt Industries. And my husband was only 24 when he passed away, which left me raising our two sons, which I did the best I could through trial and error. And, my youngest boy ended up going into the federal system in 1999 at the age of 18, right from a young offender home to federal prison. I will never say my son didn't deserve to pay for his crimes, but to die while doing so was a different story. So which took me on another journey. When my husband had passed, I want to back up a little bit. I was very young and naive, so I didn't know how to go about, legal procedures and stuff. But when my youngest boy passed, like I said, he died in prison after he gave a complaint to the institution about being sexually assaulted. 6 weeks later, my son was taken to what they call the hole, and 6 weeks after that, he was dead. So at the time, I was living in Brighton, Ontario, and I exposed the truth, and the government didn't want to listen to me, so I kept pushing forward to funeral directors and such, as his clothes disappeared off his body. There was so many unrealistic things. His face was bruised, his hands were bruised, and there were so many people at my son's funeral, so I'm not imagining this. They all seen it too. Mm-hmm. And I kept taking it, first of all, to the Board of Funeral Directors, and I didn't understand still what they were saying. But it wasn't about money I wanted. I was not about to say my son committed suicide because I knew him better than that. Mm. So I fought for many years, approximately 4 years. I went to Victims of Crime. They helped me tremendously with petitions and such, to change laws to the Access to Freedom of Information program, or what they have, Access to Freedom of Information. And I tried to change laws in the House of Commons, but I was shot down on that as well. But that didn't stop me. I kept going, and I kept going, and I talked to the correctional investigator. He ended up doing a report on 164 inmates that died alleged suicides. These 164 victims from 2003 to 2005 was investigated, and 2007, Howard Sapers released his report on these 164 inmates that died alleged suicides that are now deemed suspicious deaths. Every year I partake in Prisoners' Justice Day, and like I said, I never ever said once that my son didn't deserve to pay for his crimes, but to die while doing so was a different matter for me. Mm-hmm. I had talked to several mediums because I just wanted to know what happened to my son, and it was driving me crazy. But every time a medium tried to contact him, he was shyish, and he would stand off. And I had one medium say to me, Mary Pegnew, in Oshawa, she said to me, how come he can't talk? Well, my son's throat was slit from ear to ear. So I understand why he couldn't talk, but my son doesn't want me to know everything that happened to him because he doesn't want my life here on earth to be any more harder than it is. And he just doesn't want me knowing the truth about what happened to him. Mm-hmm. But I had to keep in mind that I still had another child to live for, which was my oldest boy. My youngest son's death, Ronnie, really took a toll on him. It destroyed him. It took me quite a while, but I finally got him into talking to somebody in counseling and stuff, and he was with an amazing counselor. And he helped Norman tremendously 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then Norman started getting on with his life and had children, and he had a beautiful daughter named Peyton, and then a few years later had another beautiful daughter named Justice. And throughout Norm's trial and errors, him and his girlfriend broke up, so Norm ended up moving back in with me. And as the years had gone on, he ended up getting diabetes, and he had sleep apnea, and he had many medical problems. On April 13th of 2017, we had moved into a house in hopes that his daughters would come down and visit him. We rented this house. So it was like, Norm can't be sleeping. He's got to get up and help me around the house, like cut the grass and stuff, and I'm not a well lady myself. So I went downstairs to awake him and found my oldest boy, now deceased. And I just fell to the floor, phoned 911, and learned that he passed of congestional heart failure at 39 years of age. It has been such a struggle. But I'll tell you, through my struggles, I have received phone calls with nobody on the other end. I have, like I said, had sparks come out of outlets. I've had washing machines turn on and off, dryers, and finding feathers and dimes. I have never in my life found so many dimes. And I know this is signals from them. I have dreamt of my youngest boy. I have been told I'm at peace. I'm with my family. And we're just waiting. Right now we're a triangle. And we're waiting for you to come here so we're complete again. That puts me at peace in my heart. Mm-hmm. That puts me at and I, like, wherever I go, I always have all three of their ashes. Like, I carry them with me all the time. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but that's how I get through things.
No, it doesn't sound crazy at all, not on this show. Not on this show. I do have a question, though.
Sure, go ahead.
You said that you find dimes everywhere, and I also believe in that. Like, I've heard it many times before. A lot of my family members can attest to that they've seen them. And I used to find stars, and I believe that was my dad leaving little stars, like kid stars, just everywhere. And I would be like, there's no kids in this area. Why would there be a kid star from, like, Kraft? And I always knew it was my dad. So then, of late in the last year, hearing a lot more about these dimes, it's almost like my spirits have said, okay, she gets it, that if there's dimes around, she's not just finding the dimes. This is actually a message. So now when I'm outside, I find dimes a lot. When I pick them up, I always say a blessing to my ancestors.
Does it not make you feel wonderful inside?
It
does.
Just
to know they're still there?
It does, but yeah, absolutely. So I know that what you are saying about these dimes is completely true, and I find it amazing that you just know it. But where do you find these dimes? And
oh my goodness, I have found dimes on my floorboard of my car. I find them when I just go walking. I have even found them in my bed, and I never brought money into my bed. I just wake up in the morning and I go to make my bed, and wow, I'm finding a dime in the bed. So I just kind of look up and say, thank you, guys, like, to know that you're okay.
Oh.
And to know you're okay, I'm okay.
Yes.
It's just scary moving forward.
Yeah.
So that part has been a little bit difficult, but eventually I'll get there.
Yes,
I know within my heart, eventually I'll get there.
You will. And, you're a very strong woman, and I have to say congratulations on what you did to bring attention to those suspicious deaths.
Yes, well, I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, if I, as a mother of a male inmate, didn't say anything, then this stuff would continue to go on. And since that time, there's been a lot of, there's still a lot of male deaths, but a lot of it gets focused on the women. And that's where I get upset because, a lot of men are abused too. And I have witnessed that myself. Where a male gets abused and the female ends up putting him in prison or whatever. And, then they're looked down upon, right? And it's so wrong. It's so wrong. If I would have had the money, I would love to have started an agency, for these male inmates, when they get out, that they have the help they need to get readjusted to society, instead of just being thrown into society for failure. I would have done that, and I would have called it the Claire Cohane Foundation for Men. And she was an amazing lady that took pride in what she did. She came back from Vietnam, and she was a nurse, and she started writing inmates and became very attached to them and some of their stories. So with that, that's where I got the name from.
That's very beautiful. We never know who's going to hear this program at this show because it's going to be out on the internet. And I hope that if someone is out there that can fund something like that for you, because it's something that if it's still on your heart and you lay it out there, and you can conceive it, you can definitely achieve it. And again, there could be someone listening to this show wondering in their head, hey, they could help you out. And that even if it just starts off online, very small at first.
Yes.
Website, you can even create it as a blog and, post the stuff because it sounds like you are very educated and you understand exactly.
I'm very passionate about what I do.
Very passionate. There you go.
Yes. And nothing was going to stop me because that was my baby boy, and how dare you try to make me think that he took his own life because I knew that boy better than that.
Right. And his name was Norm? It was Norm?
No, his name was Ronnie Barker.
Okay.
And then my oldest son was Norman, that just recently passed a year ago.
Oh, so just a year ago. Right. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then, like I said, in the last year, I've dreamt of him. I woke up crying, but I believe crying is a sign of strength.
Yes.
And, and missing him is tremendously because he was my best friend. We went through a lot together, him and I. But
if you don't mind, can you take us to the dream? Do you remember the details?
Yes, he was walking with me. Actually, he was walking with me, stroking my head and said, "It's okay, Mom. I'm going to be okay."
Oh, wow. Your boys
I just want you to keep living. This is your journey now. So if I can help, the way that I've looked at things, if I can help somebody else in this world not suffer the way I have, then I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
But to believe in spirits, oh, yes, I believe tremendously.
Yes, and also you said that you experienced the light bursting?
The light flickering on and off.
Flickering on and off, okay.
And sparks coming from the sockets.
Oh,
actual sparks coming out of the sockets.
Wow.
And there was no electricity problems in the house, no wiring problems, nothing. I had been there for 7 years and never had anything like that happen until my youngest boy passed. And then, like, the phone calls I get, and nobody would be there. I had no idea about the phone call part until later on, and I had talked to a medium, and she said, do you ever receive phone calls? And I said, I sure do. She said, is there anybody there? And I said, no, there's nobody there. She said, that's your son letting you know that they're trying to contact you to say they're okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then for many years, I didn't have phone calls until after my oldest boy had, and then the phone call started again. And feathers and dimes and, you know, dreaming of him and just amazing. Amazing.
Yes. And
that's what's gotten me through a lot of the rough times is I can't let them down. You know, they know I was a very strong person and very strong-willed and wouldn't give up on them. So if I can help another mother or somebody out in your audience to look at things in a more positive manner, I will do that. Because nobody deserves to suffer in silence.
Right. Now, overall, when you are at home, where you live right now, do your boys live there with you? Any of them?
Yes. Yes, they do. I have them my boys are both in urns. Both of them were cremated. I had a necklace made for myself, and I carry their ashes with me everywhere I go.
Okay.
My husband, however, he's buried in Stouffville and with his grandfather, and I have my two sons.
Okay. Now, when your son had passed, when he was 39 years old last year and you were at his place, did you get any visits at all? Like, did you feel any breezes or any touches?
Yes. I felt cool breezes going past me because he died in the house that we were living in. And light flickers on and off. And I'd say, okay, Norman, you can stop it. And it would stop. I know you're here, son. And it would actually stop.
Ah, okay. You know, a lot of the times when sons leave their moms first, they will always, a lot of the times, not always, I don't want listeners who are listening feel like, oh, you know, their children are passed on and they're silent, they're quiet or anything. But sometimes they knew Charlene before, you know, they knew you, Charlene, because they went through their dad's death with you.
Yeah.
And they were very young. And then, you know, your oldest son, he saw you go through the death of his younger brother, your younger son. And then he passes. So he knows exactly what you find comforting.
What I'm going through.
Yes, he knows what you went through, and he knows what you find comforting. He knows, okay, Mom, and he knows exactly. And like you said, you guys were best friends. What were some of the things you guys did together?
Oh, we did. He stood by my side while I pounded the streets of Trenton, Kingston, all over the place, getting you know, people to sign my petition to change the law of access to information, freedom of information. CBC Radio helped me do it. But my son stood by me through everything. Like, we pounded the pavement, not just myself, but together. We did everything together. We did the Prisoners' Justice Days in Ottawa, in Toronto, and the Toronto Film Festival. He was right by my side all the way.
Wow.
And then it started becoming too much for him because they were so close together, right? That it started messing him up in the head. Said, you need to see a counselor. Because I had been through counseling for other reasons in my life. And I found that the counselor really helped. But you've got to find the right counselor. You know, one that works with you and helps you understand. And I was blessed enough to have Donna Harris enter my life, and she worked with me for 7 years. So she got me to see life through a different set of eyes. And
what type of counselor is she?
She's a life walk counselor. She's just amazing, amazing lady.
Okay. And
yeah, she does life walks.
Okay, what's that?
She does grieving. She does, victims of childhood abuse, which is why I went to see her. So she helped to bring that inner child out of me and heal that inner child so that I could move forward in a more positive manner instead of being angry at the world and hateful and, why me, why not me, right? I'm not better than anybody else. Right. So she got me to look through a different set of eyes. Beautiful. And I think that's what's helped me with the loss of my husband and my sons. I've never remarried. I tattooed my husband's portrait on my back. I tattooed his portrait on my back, and I will remain his wife until I go. Beautiful. And you suggested to your son that he get counseling, and yes, did he go or was? Yes, he did. He was almost at 7 years of counseling when he passed away. Okay. So yeah. And he had an amazing counselor too. Right. So, which gave us a good foundation to move forward. Because I'll never have the truth to my youngest son's death. I'll never get the truth. So I already know I have to live with that. Which is hard, but if I was to know, I would have found out by now. I'm a person. I don't believe in never knowing. The truth always reveals itself. It always reveals. It's always given. But I'll tell you this much. I believe in my heart. I know he was murdered. Yeah. And a mother knows what a mother knows. Exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? 100%. So with that being said, I know within my heart that he was murdered, but to find out how he was murdered and everything, because it's sick, right. But we as mothers need to know, what truly happened. And I'm okay with that if I never find out the whole truth. I know in my heart what I know, and that's okay with me. Beautiful. And I was going to say, because your story is something that you don't know who knows the truth. And imagine if there's a person listening out there who is maybe like a movie producer or someone that can be connected with you so you can get your story out there in a way where Ronnie Barker? Yes. He died July 16th, 2003, so he's been gone 15 years now. There you go. Oh, okay, so a lot of people know certain things. People are gotten out of prison, people have information, but that's not the thing necessarily. Like you said, you're at peace with it. Do you know what? Those people are also at risk, for exposing their truths. Do you know what I'm saying? 100%. So to put somebody in that kind of situation, I couldn't do that because that's another mother losing a child. I've experienced that. I would never wish that on anybody. It is so painful. It is so painful to lose your child. Okay. But, if it ever happens, it happens. I am really good friends with a gentleman in California that wrote a book, and I found him, and he was kind of a little savior for me, too, because he believed me, what I was saying. He worked in prisons teaching guitar lessons, and his name is Buzzy Martin. And he wrote a book, Don't Shoot, I'm the Guitar Man, and that book has now become a movie and is going through the process in California, in Los Angeles, and hopefully we'll see it in Canada soon. But he has been a savior to me, knowing that I was telling the truth from what he witnessed inside, and not all those people are horrible people. They go to prison for things they have done, and they're paying for society's dues. And I believe that's where it should be left. They shouldn't have to be penalized the rest of their lives.
I respect that so deeply, because I love what you're saying in a very personal sense, because my view is like, oh my gosh, this is such a great story. Get that story out there. Everyone, this should be somewhere like on Netflix. And this is where my mind always goes to. I'm always thinking this is a great story. People should hear this, because this is something that shows about human strength, faith, and
it's been hard,
and yeah, it's just amazing. And so I'm like, this is a real life story. Put it on Netflix, and you're like, wait a minute, back up for a minute. This is not just about one story. This is about everyone. So if anyone,
three stories. My husband died making $5 an hour. $5 an hour, and it took his life. Which after my second son, or my first son, had passed, I had now become what they call complex PTSD. So I can't be in some situations. I kind of veer off, because I don't want to become saying things I shouldn't say or whatever.
What are the initials for it? I'm sorry, not to cut you off. What is it called again?
It's called complex PTSD. I'm compared to soldiers going into a war and witnessing a lot of death and destruction.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yes, because I had to witness not one, but 3 people that I love very much. And I had to see their bodies after their death. So that didn't help me mentally. So I was put on disability. I was deemed disabled through Canada Pension, and then put on to ODSP. So it's been a struggle. And my oldest son and I, we always split 50-50. He was also deemed disabled because of what he had experienced. So the last year has been very trying financially, trying to get back on my feet. And for the first, I'd say, 8 months, I couldn't be by myself. I had to be around people all the time, because I get lost in my own thoughts. So that helped out. But now trying to move forward and start a new life now is my next step. And that's where I'm at. But as soon as I seen your post, it was like, I would love to have their stories told.
Oh, I thank you for coming on. And I
thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you for being so open. And, I know there's a lot of people listening to this story that will be able to benefit from it and be able to feel your pain as a mom, and also as a wife losing their husband. And by the way, just so the audience knows, you only had 2 sons. You've only given birth to 2 sons, and you've lost them both.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I wasn't one of those moms that, went out and had kids with 10 different fathers or whatever the case may be. I'm very old-fashioned. Right. And I had military parents, which I'm very grateful for. That taught me a lot of my stuff prior to leaving home, how to treat people and so on and so forth. So I believe I got a lot of my strength from my parents.
That's awesome. And you see, I can pick up that strength in your voice. I really sense it. Even when you responded to my post, as soon as I saw your story, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing woman. So that's when I messaged you and I said, would you be open to coming on the show? You're like, absolutely. And I said, thank you. I'm pretty sure I said it's an honor to be able to speak to such a strong woman on the air. Pretty much, I said something of that nature, right? You're such a strong woman. And I feel, and this was before I heard your voice. And now hearing your voice, I'm like, wow, I can hear, as you used the word passion earlier, as you used it best, I'm telling you, you are a passionate woman. And
I'm very passionate.
Yeah.
I care about people. So if I can help another mom gain some kind of strength from my story, then I would love to do that. You know, there is hope, and there is moving forward in life, and it's hard. I will never say it's easy. It's hard, but it has to be done because God gave us plans. Our Creator gave us plans, and we have to follow those plans, whether we like them or not.
Yes, and you know, this is all quite for me very interesting because you didn't know who I was before I called you. You just know me from Spirit Search Guru and my ad that I put out on Facebook.
Yeah.
But my name is Cerise Fairfax, and I am a soul coach, as I told you before we had the show, but I didn't tell you what it was. And I do more reading. And I've been on the radio before on Flow 93.5 radio and also on a couple of college radio stations. And, you know, I didn't say anything about myself, but I do read people. And I would just like to take this moment to just read you right here, right now. And we have never spoken before this, so just so people
No, we have not.
Right? So what I pick up from you, and the reason why I'm going to read, I'm just going to read based on your experience, what you went through, your pain, and I won't call it sorrow or struggle because I will call it courage. It's more of a positive word, and I really feel that more around you. But I think on a level where people can contact you because you are so open. And when I said to you, is it okay if I tag you in this post? You're like, absolutely, I have nothing to hide. So I just want to say, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people listening to this, and anyone that has lost someone close to them, because I don't do grief counseling.
Yeah.
And I have lost a lot of people. I'm from Regent Park Hood.
Oh, my goodness.
Toronto. Yeah, I was born and raised there and very proud. And so I can't even count the amount of people that I've lost. So this story that you're talking, this is another reason why it's touching close to me. When you talk about prison and stuff like that, I've known a lot of people that gone through the system and they paid for their crime, but none of them died. And it's like, what? Someone lost their life going to prison and all the circumstances around it and stuff like that. What you must have went through, like you said, pounding the concrete with Norm and with your other
going through Corrections Canada gives you a brief of what they say happened. So, you know, having to go through that paperwork and read it every day and find out the untruths in it and call them out on it was really hard to do, but it had to be done. I was the only one left here to fight for my son's rights.
Absolutely.
And I was not only fighting for my son's rights, I was fighting for all mothers of sons' rights.
Exactly, because look how many lives that they are now reviewing. How many? 100 and something?
164. And I only know that because my son was part of that report. So they gave me, Howard Sapers sent me a copy, and he was a correctional investigator at the time. And God bless him for listening to me because I couldn't get anybody in Corrections Canada to listen to me, but Howard Sapers did.
Right.
And I can't say enough good about Mr. Sapers.
Right.
He is a wonderful man and a very big help where that come into play.
Okay.
Now, you know, unfortunately, I couldn't change laws, but, you know, I think they have lots to hide there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just sweep that under the carpet, you know.
But even your experience there, which brings me back to reading you, and I just want to say that there are listeners, and I feel very comfortable directing them toward you because I can tell from your energy you're real, you keep it real, and you have suffered some loss, not the word suffered, you have had the courage to go through such deep loss, and you know certain resources where you can help people and maybe even just listen to them. And there's going to be people that, you know, will, if they don't contact you right away, they may contact you a month from now or maybe a year from now. But I really do hope that you create a blog with that name. Look it up online. Blogs are free. Look it up online because reading you, I can tell that you are savvy with your words. You're savvy with just your ideas. you're very creative. I pick up number one, you're extremely creative. You would think of certain solutions to conflicting things in life that other people would not be able to do. You'd be able to figure something out and say, okay, well, let's do it this way. Everyone would be wondering what to do, and you'd be like, you know what? No, I think we should do it this way. You're a good leader, is what I'm trying to say, and that's
I try to be.
Mm-hmm. That's just through your voice.
I try to be. I try to be a good influence on the people I'm around. I'm not always, because I'm not perfect.
Right, but I also know no one's perfect. We don't want to be, right? We want to learn.
No, I don't want to be perfect.
But this is the thing. I pick up that you're loyal, that you are loyal, and that you really understand almost anything. Someone can come to you and you'd be like, oh, gosh, that's a doozy. But all right, let's go with it. You know, if it's like huge. But if it's most things wouldn't even make you bat another eyelash. I pick up that you're completely non-judgmental. So, you know, people out there, moms especially, you lost your sons, your daughters, even anyone, your husbands, your grandchildren, just give Charlene a call. And she can help you out with even a professional friend, right? You don't have services right now. Look at me telling people to call you, stuff like that. But feel free to contact you on Facebook, on the post. There we go. Or, you know.
Yes, I'm always willing to lend a hand.
There we go. And
that's what we're put here for, is you pay it forward.
There you go. There you see how open you are. You and I didn't even talk about this before we spoke.
No. I believe in pay it forward.
Yes, and I do believe in, you know, psychologists and counseling and all that stuff myself. I think it's important for people to talk to someone, but I also believe that it's important to be a community with people. You know, you've been there, you've done that, share your experiences and your resources and, you know, be an ear for someone. But I only encourage you on one thing. This has been a great conversation, and we're about to end the call. Is there, before I encourage you on what I'm going to encourage you on, is there anything that you want to share that you might be missing out on?
I'm not missing.
Okay, team, how can we achieve breakthrough results this year?
Install a Bitcoin ATM.
Offer 1-hour drone delivery?
Oh, call Toronto Hydro to find out how we can save on energy.
Go on.
We can get a better workplace with LED lighting, AC upgrades, and more. Plus, rebates pay up to 50%.
Wow, now that's a breakthrough.
Oh, does this mean no drone?
Your breakthrough is waiting. Contact the energy experts at TorontoHydroBusiness.com. Terms and conditions apply. Save on Energy is powered by the IESO and brought to you by Toronto Hydro.